Whew. I played my first double tonight downtown in Nashville on Broadway. Not my first double, but my first double in a few years, like maybe since COVID. So it's been like 4 years or more, maybe. I don't know. But it was a morning shift and an afternoon shift. So I got there about quarter after 10 a.m. Stood outside in the rain for a while until somebody let us in the club until about 10:30, and then played till 2:15 p.m. and then the next band came on and played until 6:15 p.m. on a Friday night. Tonight it's March 8th here in Nashville, and didn't make a whole ton of money on either gig. Made more money on the second gig, obviously, because there's just more people out and about. So not exactly thrilled with those results. There's a lot of playing, a lot of songs. The first gig was good. It was low pressure. Like I said, I mean, there weren't too many people. I mean, the first 2 hours, there was hardly anybody in the room. And the singers were choosing songs that were like unknown to me. I mean, I'd never heard of some of these songs, and that always makes it kind of stressful for me because I don't like playing songs that I don't know. I just don't think it's a good idea for anyone to be playing songs that they don't know. Like, why bother? Why do that? If you're a singer and you're going to be fronting a band, find out who your musicians are and send them a song list, the songs that you know, and that like a week in advance, preferably, if possible. But even 24 hours in advance can make a difference, because at least I can go and check things out and kind of scroll through the list, and if there's something that stands out as something that I don't know, I will go and I'll at least listen to it once and get an idea of like, oh, what's the attitude of the song, or is it a shuffle, or is it a ballad, or is there some weird ending or whatever. But no, that's not how it works down on Broadway. My wife showed up. She was working downtown with a coworker, and so she was done with whatever she was doing, and so she popped in for about an hour and they hung out. So that was nice for her to visit. And from then on, basically the second half of the first show, we played more rock songs as people were showing up, and played more songs that I was familiar with. So for me, it went smoother and it was easier. The second show was with some new people that one new person, the guy who was fronting, his name is Jake. I want to say his name is Jake Clayton. Really good singer, really good fiddle player. I don't know which I like better, his singing or his fiddle playing, but both of them are excellent. And he's a real 90s country guy, fan, obviously, and he knows all that material. And so he was calling all these tunes that, man, I had to look up so many songs tonight and this afternoon that, I mean, it was just almost every song that was called, I had to go and at least try and look it up and see if I had a chart on it, a number chart. And just, even if I kind of knew the tune or if I'd played it before, it's just been so long that I had to kind of remind myself of like things like, oh, how's this tune start? I mean, there was even some like Tom Petty songs that were called, and I was like, oh, damn, how's this one start? Like, what's the riff? Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Just stupid stuff like that. You know, when you don't do these gigs for like months and months at a time, like for me, you know, I haven't played any Broadway gigs in like 4 months. So I haven't thought about these songs, and some of them I just don't know at all and never even heard of. Some of them I never even heard of the artist. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, nonetheless, you got to kind of just power through and work your way through it. So there was one song where the bass player, he was like, why don't you take your iPhone and just take a listen to it real quick? And I was just like, why? I was like, they're ready to count it off right now. It's like, you're gonna sit here and watch me like listen to this song? Like, how many, what do we have, 10 minutes to go and listen to the song and for me to learn it? No, of course not. We don't even have 10 seconds. Count it off, let's go. And that was it, you know? And it was fine. It turned out fine. But I don't know if I played it accurately or not, but nobody seemed bothered. I played excellent time and good feel and didn't make any mistakes that I know of. So nobody looked at me funny. So, you know, sometimes you just gotta kind of like throw caution to the wind and just go for it, you know, and just use your intuition and your sort of, you know, just be musical and think compositionally, and just, you know, try to, as you're playing the tune the first time, like in other words, like you play the intro and then probably there's a verse and a chorus. So really pay attention to that verse and chorus, so that the second time around, when it goes to verse 2 in the second chorus, you kind of like learned it already in a way. Like maybe there's something, you know, in the verse or in the chorus that to latch onto, or just, you know, there's a certain chord progression that kind of leads you to the next section, that kind of thing. So, you know, just use big ears and really be heads up, and just trying to like just watch the other musicians for their body language, because a lot of times they'll sort of telegraph to you if something's coming up, if there's a stop in the music, or a hit, or a, you know, it's going to get louder here or it's going to get softer there, kind of thing. So yeah, it's exhausting. I'm exhausted, like playing pretty much 8 hours of music, most of which, I don't want to say most of which, but like a good 2/3 of it I didn't know or hadn't played in a long time. So it was all kind of new to me. And so it was just really stressful for me, because I really don't, I mean, you know, I've come this far in my career. I like for things to be good, you know, I like for them to be clean. I don't like things that are messy. So I want to do a good job. I want my bandmates to be happy with me, and not be frustrated with me. So it's kind of a tough thing. So yeah, I guess, you know, we're going to keep doing this. I mean, my calendar, you know, I've got a bunch of things coming up, some more Broadway gigs and stuff for this month. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3 gigs this coming week on Broadway. I've got a few other things, well, one other thing too, but I've got a Milestones gig coming up on Wednesday at Rudy's. I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't even thought about that. I mean, there's so much going on. I haven't even written a set list yet. I'm sure that the band is like, what are we playing? That's, you know what? I got to write that down on my to-do list. Milestones set list. My gosh. Because otherwise I'll never remember it. So yeah, just a kind of a frustrating day. But, you know, I talked to the guitar player who hired me for both gigs today. after both gigs, when we were packing up going home, and he was really positive, and he he really likes having me, and I mean, he said some really nice things about me and my playing. So I'm not going to say exactly what it was because, I want to be fair to him, but yeah, I mean, I assume he meant what he said, and so it was like, wow, that's a nice compliment. But my whole frustration is like, yeah, but I don't know the songs. Like, I don't know all these songs that are being called, and I feel like a schmuck because a song gets called and I don't know how to count it off. I don't know what style it's in. I'm just a deer in the headlights, like, and I'm looking at all the other band members going like, all right, let's, count it off. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to play. How's this one go? And I don't mind doing that like a couple times, but like when it's like over and over again, man, it wears me down, and it's really hard, and it's frustrating. And a lot of these tunes like are kind of old country songs, and some of them are like, you can't tell if they're in like double time or if they're in half time. Bum 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 ba ba ba. I start playing and everyone looks at me and they're like, no, halftime, and down down, and I'm like, okay, so now here we go. We start the verse, down, and we get to the chorus, and like they're like, double time it, and I'm like, oh, okay, double time, back to the verse, and then like, no, halftime again, just like, and and these changes happen in like sort of weird, unpredictable places where you wouldn't think that a change like that would happen, but it does. Or like, for instance, I might start it in like double time, and they're like, no, play it in halftime, and so I'm like, okay, so it's halftime, verse, chorus, and then like you get through half the song, and then they're like double time, and I'm like, well, I already, oh, okay, like, because I started out in double time, but you said to play it in halftime, but now it's in double time again. It's just stuff like that that's like exhausting because I want to get it right. And so, yeah, I don't know, super frustrated, just super like exhausted, and just, from like sitting on the edge of my seat, like looking for cues of any kind because I don't know this song, and I might be like the only guy in the room that doesn't know this song. And I hate that feeling, and it says nothing about my playing or my talents or my abilities or anything like that. And I realize that, I'm wise enough to realize that. So it's not like I get down on my playing, but I just get down on like not playing a clean show and not playing, like, I just want to be up to snuff to like play the gigs that, that are, play the songs and know the material that we're doing. Now, I mean, this singer on the second gig I played, he was a last minute sub. There was supposed to be somebody else singing, so I think I'm a little bit more comfortable with the original singer's repertoire, because I've worked with him before and haven't had too many issues, and he's really forgiving anyways, because he doesn't play anything really like the record. But this guy who was subbing in, this guy Jake, who was subbing in for the other guy, I could tell like he knows all these records, he knows all the signature licks, he knows all the tempos, like he knows it to a T. And it's like, I felt like if I wasn't playing it like the record, then I'm playing it wrong. So that was kind of a crappy feeling. Anyway, that's that. It's done. I made some money. I'm glad to be able to do it. I mean, there's all sorts of other things I could tell you about. I mean, it was a long gigs. I mean, the second show, I didn't get a break. Usually you get like a 10-15 minute break, and the singer kind of does like an acoustic set for a few minutes, while you go to the bathroom and get a drink of water or whatever you're into, and just kind of separate your butt from the drum stool. But that I didn't get that on the second show, and also contributed to why I'm so exhausted. But the good part is my hands feel great. I wasn't playing super loud, and just feel really healthy. My back's a little sore, but just from sitting on the drum stool, all day. But that'll be fine tomorrow, I'm sure. What else? The mix was kind of rough. I mean, we were all on in-ears for the most part, and I actually brought an overhead mic because they don't have overhead mics at this venue. We were playing this. I was at the second fiddle, and so everything's mic'd except there's no overhead mic. So when you put in-ears, I mean, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but like when you have in-ears and you don't have an overhead mic, you can't hear the cymbals, you can't hear any top end, any high frequency of the drum set. So I brought my own overhead mic, and the sound engineer was nice enough to set me up with a stand and a cable, and I just plugged it directly into my extra channel on my mixer, and used that for my ears, in addition to the board mix that she was sending me for the band. And it was great, especially the first gig, but then the second gig things got kind of wonky, and like I started feeling like, I don't know why, but it felt like, it might be just my imagination, but it felt like the left channel was a lot louder than the right channel. Like my left ear felt way more fatigued than my right ear at the end of the night, and still does a little bit. So I'm not sure what that's about, because I had a mono mix. Kind of weird. So yeah, at least I think I did. I mean, I have to check that, because there is a button on my mixer it's that Mackie 402 mixer. So there's a button. If you hit the button, it literally splits the two XLR channels right and left, hard right and left. And I'm pretty sure I had it unchecked so that they're just both mono. But I'm gonna have to check that on the next gig, and see what the deal is there. But because that could actually account for what I was experiencing. Or maybe the button just got pushed accidentally. Could be the case. In any case, yeah, I'm not going to ramble on too long here, because like I said, I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty excited to have tomorrow off, at least off from gigs. I've been working on an overdub session here on my conga drums. You can kind of see them over here to my right side. So working on some overdubs for a friend of mine, and it started out with just a conga part, and now he wants me to add a few other extra things, cymbal scrapes and some snare drum parts and stuff like this. I was having a real terrible time recording the congas. I was doing it yesterday. I started it yesterday, and as you can see, I think you can see I have here the ribbon mic as an overhead. Now, I didn't start out that way. I have another mic that I was using as an overhead. It's my Warm Audio 67, WA67, which is a real super sensitive mic. It's a really great mic. I was using that as the overhead, and I'm using the Sennheiser 421s. I don't know if you can see this or not on this one. For close mics, and those sounded great in the mix, but I was getting a whole ton of noise from the overhead mic, and part of it was because I had like there was a snare drum that was buzzing when I hit an open tone on the conga, boom boom, and something was making like a rattling noise, like one of the snares. So I had to lock away those extra snares in the ISO booth, closed the door. But then there was like some floor noise happening. It sounded like, anyway, it sounded like some low kind of rumbly noise because the congas were on the floor when I played them. Although I was cradling the high drum in like with my feet. So that drum wasn't necessarily on the floor, but still the vibration was going through my feet when I hit the drum. The whole vibration was like passing through the wood floor and on up in through the mic stand, I think, and what it was registering in the mic. Because like I said, these mics are super sensitive. And then the lower drum was definitely sitting on the floor. So what I did was, well, after some trial and error, I have a conga stand, and after I went and found it and set it up, it was a big pain in the neck to set up because it's really hard to set up. I hardly ever use it. But I've used it on a few live gigs where I had to play congas, and this was like years ago. But so I went and got the stand, put the congas on the stand, and had to move the mics and everything. So now I started doing some takes with the conga drums on the stand, and listen back, and guess what? The stand is all creaky and squeaky and like making all these noises, and like you can kind of hear the drum kind of like as I'm playing it. It's like these sort of like noises that it was making, and oh my god, like I tried and tried to make it work, and in the end had to scrap it. So can't use the stand. So next thing, I had the brilliant idea of, I have these two drum pads that are made by Prologix, and I flipped them upside down. On the back side of them, there's this cork padding on the drum pad. So I decided, okay, let's try to put the congas on this cork pad that's on the drum pad to separate them from the floor, to hopefully minimize the floor vibrating. And that has seemed to work. I also switched out the mic to this ribbon because I was just like, I just couldn't, the warm audio was just too sensitive. There was just picking up too much noise. It was picking up too much like ambient room noise. It just wasn't a clean signal. I'm used to using the warm audio in my ISO booth. That's normally where that mic lives, for overdubs, mainly for overdubs, but also, I mean, for anything that you would want to record in the ISO booth, including voice or anything that you'd put in there. So I decided to go with the ribbon, which is a little less sensitive, a little bit darker in character, but still, retains like a great quality of sound, a little bit different tonality. But I think it's going to work. And it was working when I had to quit. I had to quit yesterday before the session was done because I had to... Actually, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday because I had to go to a gig. Wow, I'm all turned around. I had a 6 a.m. corporate gig yesterday, so I only had 3 hours sleep, so everything feels like it was yesterday, but really it was the day before yesterday. I'm all turned around. So anyway, tomorrow, that's what's on the docket, that's on deck for tomorrow. I'm going to say on deck because it's baseball season again, and I'm so glad that spring training is back and we're going to get to watch some baseball. I don't have high hopes for my New York Mets this year. However, I just love the game and I will be watching anyways. So if they do well, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Anyway, enough about baseball. I know this is a drum channel, so we're sticking to drums. Strictly drums, for the most part. So yeah, that's what's going on in my world. I haven't, had one of these videos. I haven't done any of these vlog type videos in quite a while. I just needed a break, honestly. I was on the road with Mannheim Steamroller for 2 months. I did 1 or 2 vlogs, I think, during the tour, so you can check those out. But here we are, it's in March, and I just, January, I got home in January, and just January, February, I just needed a break and just needed to like kind of regroup and just kind of take some time to myself and just reflect on things and, just kind of take it all in stride and just, I've just been taking one day at a time. It's all good. But, yeah, so I'm back. Woohoo! If you like these vlogs, let me know and I'll do more of them. I will also be, it's on my list here, I'll be doing the next snare showcase video, or snare spotlight video is what I called it. Snare spotlight. I don't know if I want to stick with that. Snare spotlight or snare showcase. Which one is better? Or maybe you have a better name for this, for the videos where I take a snare drum that I own. I own many. There's over 20 of them here. I haven't counted them recently, but I know I have over 20 of them. And I take one and I do a spotlight video. I do a deep dive on the video and just kind of talk about the drum. I demonstrate how the drum sounds at different tunings. I talk about how I set up the drum with, what heads and what wires, and, maybe, this time I'll actually do some research on the drum that I'm featuring so I know what the hell I'm talking about. My first one was the SLP, the Tama SLP dry aluminum. But I just kind of did it real impromptu and didn't do any research or much research on the drum before I turned the cameras on and just started rolling. But I'll try to do a little bit better of a job of detailing each drum and, giving the specs and showing off the drum and what it's capable of, and just sort of my take and my opinion on what those drums are good at, or what they're missing, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So I haven't even picked out which drum I want to use or spotlight next. Maybe a wood drum, because I started with the aluminum. I might do a wood drum. I think I have an idea of which one I want to do. So yeah, anyway, stay tuned for that. And thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget I have a patreon.com/BrianZach. And if you like any of this, let me know in the comments. BrianZach.com for drum lessons, both in person and online. And yeah, that's it. That's it for now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video. Keep on drumming, folks. Later.